Hello guys, Shadowfright right here. As you can see in the title of this video, I'll be talking about my perfect MMO. As the years pass, more MMOs are being published, and with the demand of more original games from the United States, many Eastern MMOs are making their way all around the world. This means that MMO fans have many options to choose from when it comes to finding their perfect MMO in which they can spend all their time in. The problem for me is the very fact that many MMOs are being published left and right. In this video, I will tell you about the key parts that I would love to see in a single MMO, and thus it will make it the perfect MMO for me. As we go through this video, I'll be taking some examples from different MMOs I've been playing as I adventure into my quest of finding my new main MMO. Point number 1. The story. In this case, the universe we're set in. No matter how amazing the graphics of a game are or how super actiony the combat is, if the storyline doesn't grab me from the very first few levels, the chances are I will not be playing an MMO with a dual storyline. The depth of the universe an MMO is being based in is a very important factor into digging players into wanting them to keep playing the game more. A great example that always pops into my mind is Blade & Soul, a Korean MMO published by NC Soft. I always believe Blade & Soul is a very well made MMO, and its combat is amazing, but what really got me and almost made it my main MMO was the storyline itself. The characters are unique, and in a way they feel human. The way they interact with you as you journey into the game is what creates a connection with the game itself. If I could create an MMO, I would definitely use Blade & Soul as a reference to create an amazing storyline and come up with iconic characters that with just seeing them in a picture or a poster, people will know right away they're part of said game. Key point number 2. The goal of the game. MMOs these days have many different routes that they can go when it comes to end content or the goal of the game. Some MMOs focus into PvE, others into PvP, and in some MMOs, the most important aspect of the game is either crafting, exploring, or making money. What bugs me the most in an MMO is when they don't have a certain goal for the players to reach. A new player will basically go in blindfolded thinking the game is mostly based PvE, and surprise surprise, it turns out the game is heavy PvP and content instead. An example I'll be using for this key point is Elder Scrolls Online. They're mostly based in PvP, and the game consists of large-scale battles in the open world. They have destructible environments, which is something new I have never seen before in an MMO. Something that I really like about this game is their alliance battles, which players from different alliances will battle each other out for territory in an attempt to rule the empire. For my perfect MMO, I will focus more into the PvE, since I love raids and figuring out boss mechanics with groups that scale from 10 players up to 40 players. A great storyline also has a lot to do with reaching a goal, and therefore, I will create raids that players will have to conquer in order to defeat the final nemesis of my game. The next thing on my list is something that not a lot of MMO fans may pay attention to, which is the graphics of the game. I would like to say that I'm in that majority of us the fans that like to pay attention to graphics and style. I personally don't like cartoonish graphics like World of Warcraft, even after playing it for a long time. Maybe that's the reason why I don't like them anymore. I am not asking for high-end graphics like Black Desert Online. I like the graphic style to be somewhere in between. After all, we all play MMOs to feel part of a fantasy universe. If I could come up with an example, it would be a Chinese MMO called Moonlight Blade. The songs look beautiful, almost too realistic for the game, and the way the water graphics play along with some suns makes you feel part of the world. For my perfect MMO, I would love to have graphics like Moonlight Blade. The way some of the songs look are just magnificent, and I would love to make my players feel like part of a special universe where they can enjoy their time playing the game. For my next point, I would like to talk about one of the most, if not the most important factor into making a good MMO, which is the combat. There are many good-looking MMOs out there with amazing storylines and great aesthetics, but what makes most of the player base good is the combat style itself. While MMOs have many different styles, and over the years these have been changing with developers creating new ones, we can all admit a boring combat style can be the downside and the cost of quitting a game in the early stages of playing it. The classic tough targeting combat system is becoming a thing of the past, with MMO fans preferring a high-pacing style that is called action-based combat. A good example will be Blade and Soul, a top MMO in Korea that was released around 5 years ago. It's still going strong after all these years because of its combat system, which focuses around high-paced combos. However, this is not the example I would like to use for my perfect MMO. The style that really caught my eye since the moment I saw it was Black Desert Online. I didn't feel like I was self-targeting something, or it didn't feel action-based either. I felt as if I was free. It felt like I was the actual avatar casting magic with my own hands. The combat really absorbed me into the game, and that is something I would love to experience in my perfect MMO. My next point for my perfect MMO is something many people will consider small, but for me it plays a big factor, which is the soundtrack of the game. Most of my friends play MMOs with their sound very low, and some of them even mute their game. I am the type of person that likes to listen to the game. It makes me expect the unexpected. Like when you're in a raid and the music goes louder, stronger, faster, and when you think something really bad is gonna happen, everything quiets down, and you just wait, and wait, but nothing happens. But then, you can hear the music slowly building up for the climax of the fight. An example that I would like to use will be Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. I never really played the game. I only did the free trial that lasted for a few days, but what really caught my attention was the original soundtrack the game had. Even to this day, I still listen to its amazing soundtrack while doing homework or editing videos. Heck, even right now I am listening to the soundtrack as I am recording my voice. My favorite soundtrack will be Sultana Dreaming, and I think it's the song that you guys should check it out once you're done watching this video. For my perfect MMO, I would love to have an amazing music which players can enjoy while they spend their time questing, crafting, or just while they're fishing, or not paying much attention to the game. A soundtrack so good that when they hear it after many years, nostalgia can hit them right in the heart and they can remember their amazing adventures long after my perfect MMO has come to its end. My next point will be the platform which my game will be played in. I am not talking about PC, Xbox, or anything like that. We as MMO fans know that some of our favorite games come in different platforms known for the 4 categories: buy to play, pay to play, free to play, and the much hated pay to win. If you're new to MMOs and you're not very familiar with these platforms, I'll do a separate video in the future that will go into deep detail and will give my opinions about all of the categories. But for now, just bear with it and let's keep going. While the free-to-play platform is the easiest for people to approach, I feel like it's the one that ends up losing in the end. We've seen many MMOs that have gone free to play, and I see how it all fails and this causes them to go pay to win, which is something I strongly go against with. So unfortunately for some people, my perfect MMO will have to be subscription based. And before you disagree with my decision, the reason why I went for pay to play is because this will assure that the quality of my game will never drop down, since my game developers will have a steady income, as in contrary of free to play games, where some developers are forced to add microtransactions to features they release later on. For my next point, I will talk about the theme of the game. Is it a sandbox or a theme park MMO? In my personal opinion, I prefer theme park MMOs because in that way, people who are new to the MMO genre can click into the game a bit easier. Since sandbox MMOs leave the players to do their own thing, I feel like the theme park is more fitted into my style since I want my game to be friendly to new players. Good example for a theme MMO is, well, of course, World of Warcraft. There's no other better MMO out there that fully explains the concept of a theme park. It has all the zones that are appropriate to the level that you're currently in, and with the newest expansion Legion, the zones even scale up to your own level. Having zones that are appropriate for every level, and most important, having different starting zones for each race and faction is something I would love to see in my perfect MMO. Now for my final point, another theme for the game. Since I already covered the sandbox and the theme park, I am talking about the aesthetic of the game. Are we in a Chinese world, a Japanese world, or somewhere in space exploring the galaxy? For most players, this may be a small detail, but I'm very picky when it comes to the theme of the universe of the game we're set in. What if the theme is Chinese MMO, but you find characters in the lore named Edward or Francis? That just doesn't fit in, does it? You don't want to be playing an MMO that has a mix and match of Eastern and Western styles. That will just break the atmosphere. I am a fan of Eastern MMOs because of their architecture, style, and clothing. I play mostly female tunes in my MMOs, and I'm not shy to admit it, I love dressing my character with not so much clothing. For my perfect MMO, I will have a theme set in a fantasy world, where elves, trolls, humans live together. If I had to picture it or give it a good example, I'm guessing it will be Terra. They live in their own fantasy world where many different races exist, and that doesn't break the atmosphere of the game at all. And with that being said, I guess I will finish up my video. In the future, I may make a new one with updates or even add a few more points. Now please remember guys that this is just my personal opinion. It doesn't mean that I will create an MMO in the future or that I'm trashing in other games. I understand how time consuming and how expensive it is to create an MMO with all these many features. Now tell me in the comments guys, which is your favorite MMO and why? Well, it is time to go now, but thank you so much for watching this video and we will see each other in the next one. Shadowfright is out. Bye bye!